Hey guys, good morning. Thank you so much for stopping by. Trust me, you could be anywhere, but you chose to stop by here and kick it with your girl, and I don't take it lightly. So thank you. Thank you again so much. Now, today, what I want to talk to you about is what is that thing for you? It's different for everybody. And let me explain what I mean by that. I ran across a blog post, right? And it had a lot, it had so many comments. And the blog post asked a simple question. If you could have anything in the world right now, what would it be? Over 500 comments. Almost all of them answered the same way. There were slight variations, but most of them answered that question the same way. Most people said happiness, peace, peace and happiness, happiness and more peace, and different iterations of those things, right? Now, two things struck me immediately when I saw all of how many comments there were and what the answers were. Two things that stood out was there are so many people that are feeling the same way. So many people that are feeling like there's something else that they need. And it is something else that's going to give them the peace and happiness that they want. Something other than what they are experiencing right now. That was the one thing that stuck out to me. And then the next thing that stuck out blew my mind. And that was when it came to answering that question, peace, happiness. What dawned on me was how ambiguous that is. Think about it. Peace, happiness, those are some really ambiguous words, descriptions. So I got to thinking, what if we could actually achieve that peace and that happiness by putting a name to whatever that is, by putting a description on whatever that, breathing life into what that means for us. What does peace mean for you? What does happiness mean for you? It means something different for everybody. Some people might want to backpack in the Himalayas. Some people may want to retire and, move to Miami and just sunbathe all day. Some people might feel like their peace and their happiness is, their kids not acting up or, their marriage being better. Just whatever that means. I think personally, all right, and this is just my opinion, but I think we need to start putting a name on whatever it is. We need to start putting an accurate, detailed, bullet pointed description on what peace and happiness looks like for each of our individual situations. Because once we breathe life into that thing, you best believe the world is going to give it to us because you know what? Once we put a name and a face to what this thing looks like, then we subconsciously start moving towards it. We start moving towards figuring out how to have that ultimate vacation in Fiji, or we start moving towards how do we retire within the next 5 years, or we start looking at how do I make that six figures within the next 6 months. We actually start moving towards that goal when we put a name on it, when we breathe life into it, when we start putting a name on that thing. Because yeah, peace, happiness, that's a description, that's a name, that is a really big goal, to have peace and to have happiness. And maybe that's why in some cases we don't necessarily achieve it because it's too ambiguous. It doesn't have bullet pointed direction in terms of what we need to do. We can't really put any instructional motion in place if we don't have a picture in our heads about what this thing looks like. So, what is that for you? What is peace for you? What is happiness for you? Once you start listing out what that looks like, what that feels like, what that's going to do for your family and for your financial situation and, for your peace of mind and how you sleep at night and how you interact with other people. Once we start breathing life into what that thing is, those things they become more achievable. They become more achievable because now conceptually, we've put some things in place to be able to visualize what's happening, what we want, and then we can start putting action behind the idea. And that's really all it is, putting action behind the idea of whatever that is. So I would personally, or where I am right now, I'm in a place where I'm putting a name on it. I'm breathing life into it. Not only am I claiming it, I'm putting some action towards getting to that thing, whatever that thing is for me. And a lot of us would be much happier. We would lead a much more peaceful existence. We would have a much more fulfilled life. We would be able to share ourselves better and give more love and, have more compassion if we could actually feel and achieve and see some of the things that we personally want out of life. So whatever that thing is, whatever that is for you, it's time to put a name on it. It's time to give it a description. It's time to give it a plan. It's time to start marching towards that. But we've got to breathe life into it. We've got to identify visually, mentally, and eventually physically what that thing is. And then once we do that, then we begin to achieve that peace and that happiness, because no one can say that progress doesn't please. Progress absolutely pleases each and every time. So when we begin to put a name and a face and a description and some action behind that thing, whatever it is, we begin the process of making progress, which ultimately pleases us to the point where we want to do more of it. We want to put more action in place. We want to name more things, and it's not about the material. It's not about the material. It's about, is this life giving you the fulfillment that you were promised? Because ultimately, each and every one of us was promised something in this life. God promised us a whole lot of things, and it's different for everyone, but we can't exercise those things if we don't start giving life to them, giving names to them, giving descriptions to them, and putting action behind whatever that thing is. Loving it and letting it go and letting it happen, letting it organically unfold in our lives. And it will, once we have at least somewhat of an indicator of what that is. So, whatever it is you're thinking about, whatever it is that you're trying to do, whatever it is that you feel is going to ultimately give you that thing, and if it's peace and happiness, success, again, all the ambiguous things, let's start breaking those things down. Let's start naming those things. Let's start giving those things some bullet points and some instructions. And let's start putting things in place to get us there, as opposed to just throwing out random statements about what we want and what we wish we had. Because we can have it all. We can have it all starting right now once we name and describe and put action behind that thing. Thank y'all for stopping by.